Hello and welcome to Senior Speak New Hampshire, sponsored by AARP on your Concord TV. I am Karen Ulmer Dorsch, the producer, host of this program, and I thank you for joining us today. I'm excited and happy to tell you that our August program will find me and my guest back in the studio on a regular basis. And I want to thank all of the Concord TV staff who has so graciously assisted us in bringing this program to you in the virtual world in which we've existed for the past 16 months. I also want to thank you viewers who have so devotedly continued to watch and learn from these episodes. Although I've missed being on the studio at a regular basis to film our programs with the expert assistance of the Concord television staff, I've also found that this virtual space offers us advantages that our studio filming is unable to provide. Therefore, as we adjust and grow with the new normal, viewers can expect a hybrid of an in-studio as well as virtual programs from Senior Speak New Hampshire. I intend to be at the studio as often as I can to film, but there are some topics that work better when there are more than one or two guests and me discussing them. And the Zoom space allows us to do that, whereas the in-studio space does not. None of this affects you viewers who will always tune into your Concord TV television station or your PC Concord TV on demand to view Senior Speak New Hampshire programs. But I wanted to share this information with you so that you will not be surprised to see that Senior Speak every once in a while coming from you from my home. Today's program, today's program focuses on AARP Speakers Bureau and its purpose. I know that many of you viewers are actively engaged in the organizations seeking interesting and educational programs for your members. I also know that many program coordinators use the summer months to plan for their upcoming session. So it is with that in mind that I am inviting today members of the AARP leadership team to join me in talking about our Speakers Bureau, the opportunities it offers its members, and our free program Speakers Bureau volunteers make available to groups and organizations. Pam Dubé is, let me get gallery view. Pam Dubé is our Associate State Director of Communications, and she oversees the Bureau. Iris Atelio is our Bureau Coordinator, and Jill Martin assists me in training our teams to present our many programs. Welcome, team, and thank you for joining me today. I'm going to direct specific questions to each of you, but however, let's make this as informal as we possibly can and still stay within our time limit of 25 minutes. Pam, let's begin with you. What is the Speakers Bureau? What is your role in it? And how does one become a member?
Well, thanks for having us today, Karen. The AARP New Hampshire Speakers Bureau is a group of very dedicated volunteers throughout the state who present to libraries, to civic groups, to senior centers. Basically, if you are out in the community looking for a presentation that mostly appeals to the 50-plus community, those are the topics we focus on, but the topics are really relevant for people of all ages, then you can reach out to us. We have about a dozen different presentations that you'll hear a little bit more about in a bit. And as Karen mentioned, all the presentations are free, completely free. You just have to reach out to us. And then we will work with you to coordinate how that presentation will run and look for whatever organization you are requesting it for. It's really important to note that right now, the Speakers Bureau is operating solely in the virtual space. We're hoping that when the world allows, when the world's a little safer, we can get back to doing in-person presentations. But for now, we are in the virtual space, which makes it very easy for us to get to any place in the state to present to your group.
Thanks, Pam. And as we know, our topics concern the health, wealth, and self of our viewers. Jill, can you talk a little bit about the various topics covered in our PowerPoints that we are presenting? And again, as Pam said, only virtually, but we will offer them again in person once it's safe to do so. And can you tell us a little bit about your experience in this practice? You're very new to us, but you are really, really dedicated in jumping right in there and doing everything. So let's hear from you, Jill.
Sure, Karen. Well, first of all, I'll just mention that we have, I think right now about 11 or 12 programs, and I think we have 8 that are pretty active. The new ones that we're preparing to bring on this fall are online relationship scams, retirement planning, and a program on identity theft, and that'll all come in the fall. But some of the topics that I've presented on, we did a one-time program, Vote Safe 2020 last fall, and I've been very actively presenting our downsizing and decluttering program, which is really popular all over the state. We've given that to libraries and senior groups. Everybody's been very enjoying that presentation. I think people like it because they've got personal experiences that they like sharing. So many of us have to face this issue of what to do about all of our stuff.
Yes, and Jill, that is also something that people have been doing during this time of virtual space when we couldn't go out, right?
Right. We've got a home fit presentation as well. That's got solid information about how to make your home livable as you age. And then we've presented on our 6 pillars of brain health and our prepare to care presentations, both with tips on how to be a caregiver and a lot of information on self-care. I've got a few others I'll list. I've also presented on cyber safety, outsmarting the scam artist, and sorting fact from fiction. These are all topics which address all different kinds of fraud and how to protect yourself. AARP has assembled a lot of data and really thoughtful guidance on staying safe online. And those are really helpful presentations. And then I also wanted to answer the other part of your question, Karen, which was how I came into the program. I am pretty new to AARP, and I'm a new resident to New Hampshire. I just moved to the state about 2 years ago. And I had just started getting involved in AARP in-person offerings. There's so many different opportunities to volunteer with AARP, and then the pandemic hit. So it was great how AARP just immediately transferred to the virtual space. And this is where the Speakers Bureau in its current form got started again. And finally, I just want to tell you a little bit about what I've gotten from the Speakers Bureau, if it's a good time to say that.
Sure.
I have found that it's given me a great chance to learn some new skills. I have learned a lot about the state in the process, and I've been part of about 20 that I really like learning the new material. I like meeting the challenge of refining my speaking skills, and I really like being able to stay engaged and connected through working with these teams as we prepare and then give these presentations.
Okay, Jill,
finally, a really great part of the.
Okay, thank you. We're having a little trouble with, Jill's having a little trouble with her internet, and that's one of the things that we have in this virtual world. So we just kind of carry on. But Jill talked about the various topics that we have, and that then brings us to the kind of training that she and I do with our speakers who volunteer to present our programs. That involves telling this, we have PowerPoints that are on the various programs that we have, and these PowerPoints have talking notes. And Jill and I train the speakers who are going to be presenting these to groups because we want them to feel very comfortable and knowledgeable and happy to be saying or giving these programs. So we hold about an hour-long meeting with the entire team, and Iris will talk a little bit about those team, the groups, the makeup of the team, because they're not only the facilitators who give the PowerPoints, but we also have behind-the-scene people who work, and she works with them. But Jill and I do we go through the PowerPoints with our speakers, and we also give talking tips that help produce a fine delivery, how to deliver well. That being said, have I missed anything there about the training that we do? Jill?
Well, the only thing that
No, I don't think so.
And the only thing you haven't said is what a great job Iris does in getting us all prepared.
Exactly, and that's where we go next. And so Iris, can you tell us a little bit about how you prepare the teams, what's involved, and also your other work as the coordinator, the bureau coordinator?
Okay, well, I'm going to start not with the teams, but with the places we go, because if we didn't have a place to host, there would be no point in having a team. So we've been hosting primarily to libraries, but we've also hosted to some other organizations. We've hosted to some businesses. We've been to the Rotary. We've been to some senior centers. It's been a little challenging finding places because of the fact that we're doing things by Zoom, but things are opening up, and we'll also be starting virtual hybrid programs coming up. So places that want their people together, we can still present by Zoom as long as they have a TV that they can present on. So we're pretty much willing to present to any organization that can offer us a decent enough crowd to be there. We like to have at least 10 people for a presentation. First of all, because it takes us a lot of time, but also because a presentation is really better with a lot of people, although sometimes with just one person, it's a lot of fun too. We've done that. We have done as few as one. So organizations that are interested in our topics, as Pam said before, can just reach out. I'm sure Karen will share the AARP information, and we'd love to hear from you. So those are the people we present to. And as far as our teams, I guess we have a good core of about 10 or 12 people who participate frequently. And a team is really comprised of speakers or facilitators. Of course, they're very important, sharing the information. We usually need at least one person who's going to run PowerPoint and polls and things like that. And some of our presentations are a little bit more complicated, and they have videos and audios and lots of fun things, and we try to make them interactive too. Because it is virtual and we can't see you right in front of our faces, we usually have someone who's moderating our Zoom room. So that's another role that a team is part of. So usually our teams are like 4 people, and one of our PowerPoint people or the person who's moderating the room sometimes also hosts the presentation. And that's pretty much what our teams are. And what we do as a team is we reach out, we ask people who want to participate, we get the names, and then we get together and we kind of do a dress rehearsal to make sure that everything is working together. Before that, the team members have their own jobs to do, get familiar with the presentation so that they can go through it during our dress rehearsal. And that's pretty much what's involved with getting the team members together. Okay.
Yes.
Perfect.
But now, Iris, talk a little bit about what we do with what you do with the chatter and so on and so forth, where, how we put this on so that people can access it on the AARP portal.
Oh, okay, so our folks can access it, not the people who are going to the presentations.
Right.
Actually, let me go back
Right.
to the people who are going to the presentation very quickly,
Good.
because if we're presenting for an organization, they will usually advertise for us, although we might also put it out, and they will take care of getting the information out to their people. But we are very flexible and willing to work with any organization to provide promotional material, to provide a Zoom link or things like that. So I just wanted to stress that flexibility. Yeah, one of the things we learned is that presenting via Zoom instead of presenting like showing up in person is a whole different world. Showing up in person, one or two people go to the AARP office, grab a whole bunch of material, they practice, of course, and they show up. And they're looking right at the people. They can see what people are understanding. They can see what people aren't understanding. They can see when they're putting people to sleep, etc. In Zoom, every location is different. And so therefore, we've wound up having to customize a lot of our presentations, which is one of the things we use Chatter for. Our customized presentations are sitting out on Chatter. The other things that we do for our volunteers to make, because this is more about what the volunteers, we have our base presentations out on, I don't know if people even know what Chatter or the portal is though. So let's go back. The volunteer portal, and you know what? I'm going to bounce that one if you don't mind to Pam. Can you briefly describe the volunteer portal?
Sure. The volunteer portal is a system that's exclusive to our AARP New Hampshire Speakers Bureau that houses our upcoming presentations, trainings, collateral, handouts that go out with each presentation. So it's really like the warehouse, the storage for everything with the Speakers Bureau that our volunteers can dip into and grab whatever they need for what's coming up.
Okay. So we have, as Karen mentioned, Chatter, which the volunteers have access to update. We can send messages, we can post, you know, thanks everybody for being there. We also have our calendar there, so the volunteers can see what presentations are coming up, who's scheduled to do them, or where we're looking for people. Because I can go onto the calendar to click on a link, because we're using Google Forms as well. We get really technical here, to ask people who's available. And then we also have our libraries there. In our libraries, as Pam mentioned, are our presentations and our materials, because when we finish a presentation, we always send materials. It's resources, links, tips, depends on the presentation. We send materials out to the people who participated in our presentations. So our materials are out there and we could pull from them. And we do try, even though our presentations, and I don't even think we mentioned this, but we might have, are pretty much canned presentations that are provided by AARP National. Pam, correct me if I'm wrong.
Yes.
We do some New Hampshire specific tweaking to make our presentations, I guess, more based on the people who are attending them. And so we are constantly keeping a track on our presentations, on our links, making sure that our links work and our resources are accurate. And when we learn something new from our attendees at a presentation, we will include that in our materials that we send out, or maybe even in the presentation when it's really, really useful. And we've got some really good tips from some people. Did I cover everything?
You did a great job.
You did. You
Well,
did.
I didn't know if I answered all the
Could I add
questions.
something in? Could I add one thing in, Karen, for a minute?
Of course.
You know, in addition to having all of these presentations available to the community, we are also looking for new Speakers Bureau members. I said we had about 30, but we could always use more. You know, we really expect the Speakers Bureau to be picking up a lot as we move back into the in-person space. I like to say that becoming a Speakers Bureau member is kind of like a choose your own adventure experience. You choose how involved you want to be. You choose the presentations that you want to do. You choose the topics that are of the most interest of you that you would like to present on. You choose if you want to be in front of the camera or doing something behind the scenes. If you're a snowbird and you want to take off and go to Florida for the winter and detach from everything, you can do that too. We'll welcome you back in the spring. So yeah, it's really, you form it around your likes, your time schedule, and what you feel comfortable doing. So we make it very flexible for folks to be a part of the Speakers Bureau.
And can I
Thanks,
elaborate, Karen, on some of the different types of things that we do besides what we described, or is that coming later?
No, go ahead.
Okay, so we did describe what somebody might do at a virtual presentation. The other things that we're doing, and we're doing it as we have downtime, as we mentioned, is we do go through our presentations and we do update them to make them more New Hampshire relevant. So we're always looking for people who want to be parts of focus groups on that. We have to tweak the PowerPoint. So if somebody really likes to work on PowerPoint or run a PowerPoint, that's something where we really could use some help. We need to keep them up to date. So we're checking our links. We're making sure that periodically we go in and make sure all our information is accurate. So we keep, and then as we get new presentations, we review them and we make sure, because sometimes you get a presentation where the words just don't flow off your tongue. So we go in there and we say, gosh, that doesn't sound like New Hampshire. That doesn't sound like the way I talk. So we'll be updating things. That's in the virtual world. Once we get back in the real world, we have more like office type work that's involved as well. Maybe going in, making copies, putting together packages, going with a presenter, because we always like to send 2 people so that there's greeters. And then the other thing, and it just slipped my mind again, I totally forgot what the other thing was, but as soon as I remember it, Pam, you might remember that we're looking to do going now. Oh, I know, we're looking for places to present. So
yes, we are.
To come back and say, hey, I got an idea. Why don't we reach out to this, or even start reaching out to organizations and other places that might be interested in our presentation. So that was the piece I couldn't remember.
Yeah. There's a lot going on.
And thanks, Iris, because one of the things that I wanted us to make sure that we were doing today was informing our viewers about our presentations, but also telling them that we would love to have them join us in doing these presentations, because we have lots of fun doing what we're doing. We absolutely love going out, presenting virtually, but once we are back in the in-person world, which we hope will be next year, it is just absolutely great fun to go out and present these programs and to meet all of the wonderful people in New Hampshire. So we really do hope that after hearing about us, you will very strongly consider joining us. Pam and Iris, how does one, if someone wants to get in touch with the Speakers Bureau to book a presentation, how do they go about doing that? And talk a little bit about the variety of lengths of our programs so that they know, what kind of time is involved.
Sure. I can grab that one, Iris.
You can, and I can add.
So if someone would like to book a Speakers Bureau presentation, or if you're interested in joining the Speakers Bureau, same email address for each, NHAARP@AARP.org. Again, that's NHAARP@AARP.org. All those emails will come right to me, and I will get them out to this team that you're seeing on the screen right now, and get the wheels moving for you. As far as length of time, the presentations run anywhere from about 30 minutes to 60 minutes. Most of them fall within the 45-minute time frame to allow time for discussion and ideas. So you're looking at something, we would be in and out in less than an hour or just about there for some of them.
And part of that also depends on how many people you have attending, the number of, because we like it to be interactive. We encourage questions. We encourage people sharing their stories as well, because it makes it very worthwhile to hear that, these fraud things happen or whatever else. And so depending on the participation, it could be a little longer or a little less.
Yeah, and I do have to say that the Speakers Bureau members, if it's something you're interested in getting involved with, you won't meet a nicer group of volunteers. Our volunteers are so committed to this group and getting out there and sharing important information throughout the state. A lot of our members tell us that they've made some really good friends being part of this volunteer group as well. So that's another little bonus of joining us.
I have to say that my AARP, you're my family. This leadership team and all of our volunteers that we have, honestly, that has become a second family. I have no family in New Hampshire or in the East. So it's just wonderful to be with this group that is so excited about the information that they're able to share with others. And I just think that it's a really exciting way to, I call it my encore career. This whole group, this whole activity with AARP.
You know, one thing we didn't mention, which I think is important to both people who attend our presentations and people who are thinking of being volunteers, is that we never expect anyone as a speaker to be an expert. We are given good material from
good point,
AARP
Iris.
that we use to guide us. And some of us have information from our careers. Jill is a perfect example on downsizing. That was her
Right.
career. Some of us were in IT, so we can add things, but when we add them, we always make it known that it's coming from us and not from AARP.
Right.
But you do not have to be an expert. You don't have to memorize the thing. You don't have to be an actor. You can have your notes there. So, you know, somebody who's watching one of our presentations may see us mess up every now and then when we can't find where our next page is. But it's because we're volunteers. We're very dedicated volunteers, but we want you to know right up front that we are not experts on this, but we have resources to refer you to.
And I also want to say that, you know, again, echoing what both Pam and Iris are saying, you don't have to be in front of the camera. The chat moderator is a nice role for people. You can be a host, you know, there's a lot of different ways you can be part of a team, and you can put as much time into it that you have, or just step into the role of a chat moderator that the presentation's happening. So it's very flexible and it fits with whatever your life is like at that moment.
On the other side, even if you're the chat moderator or the person running the PowerPoint, if you have something to add, just like if you were part of the audience,
Right.
you're free to step in and say what you know or a story that you want to share. So it kind of becomes everybody can be part of it.
Right. I think that pretty much every one of our programs are interactive. We have times for question and answers where our viewers can ask or comment on things that are being said. So we try and make it as much of a conversation as possible. So, you know, we learn from one another. And
Absolutely.
it's really great fun, and it's also very rewarding.
And
I
we've
want
learned
to-
through doing Zoom as well, all different ways to interact with people. I think one
Sure
of my
have.
most favorite was we just didn't know how to get answers, and Jill was there. We said, okay, I'm going to ask this question, and everybody shout out your responses. And
Right.
I think that was like one of the most fun ways we ever got information from people.
Works.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's just simply a lot of fun. And Pam, Iris, and Jill, thank you for giving this interview of AARP Speakers Bureau with me. And thank you, viewers, for joining us again. And I hope you found this discussion informative and that you will tell your organizations and groups to please contact us and give us that contact information again, Pam.
Sure, it's NHAARP@aarp.org.
Right. So we hope to hear from you, and until August, when I will be coming to you again from the studio, may I wish you a good summer, and be good, do good, be one.